Okay, today we're speaking with Sheldon College about how they've totally changed the way they've approached assessment for learning. To answer some of the questions on how they've made this happen and how, I have Vanessa Noonan, Head of Digital Pedagogy and Innovation. I also have Murray James, Director of ICT. I'm James Leckie. I'm going to be asking a few questions today just to get a bit of insight into how they've gone about this project. So when you started this project, where did the initial idea come from and how did you go about starting?
Our initial implementation launched in 2016, whereby we had pockets of teachers who were committed to trialling the use of rubrics and digital feedback through Schoolbox. However, our formal journey didn't really start until 2017, following Murray James attending the Schoolbox Meetup. A follow-up presentation was delivered to the college's head of faculty post the Schoolbox Meetup, and Murray and the team shared with the Hofs the continuous reporting in 5 steps infographic. And from that infographic, we really looked at how Schoolbox is suggesting schools should look at providing targeted feedback and giving students the opportunity to progressively understand how they are performing. Based on this information that we presented to the college, we took away the opportunity to be able to align the college's commitment to Mazzano's Arts and Science of Teaching. At the time, in 2017, the college was unpacking design question 1. What will I do as a teacher to establish and communicate learning goals, track student progress, and create success? The Schoolbox Meetup, in conjunction with Mazzano's Arts and Science of Teachers, really gave us the backbone to this project.
So that sounds great, but obviously coming back with all those ideas, and you brought that to the rest of the school. Was there any resistance and from other stakeholders in the school, and how did you deal with that resistance within the school?
As part of our change management strategies, the committee, which included a variety of people, we had the Director of Academics, our Head of Faculty for Science, Head of Faculty for HPE, and the Head of Faculty of Arts. Having this committee with a variety of representatives allowed different perspectives and different opportunities of people to share the way in which they think this change should be implemented. Having this shared distribution of decision making gave us the opportunity to really explore and unpack the impact this is going to have on different stakeholders. So we had a collaborative space whereby we looked at the different stakeholders. We looked at parents, students, teachers, Hofs, and the administration team, and how are we on the ground going to transform assessment and marking and also feedback at all of these different levels. So as you can see, through the OneNote, we formed a large mind map, allowing us to unpack the considerations, the constraints, and the possible change management strategies for each of the different stakeholders involved.
So just looking, I know you've got some things that you could probably share with us. Can you perhaps show us some of the resources that you developed during this project to give us a sort of idea of the types of things that you developed to, I guess, facilitate this change?
The role of the committee was to do a complete review of our marking and assessment procedures here at the college. This involved us transitioning from a 15-point scale to a 5-point scale, and therefore each of the heads of faculty were tasked with redesigning their rubrics so that we had consistency in language at a capability indicator and descriptor level. As part of this process, each head of faculty was required to revamp their rubrics and then upload them to a shared space in Schoolbox. Having these rubrics in the shared space allowed us to assign a dedicated staff member to digitise these rubrics for our teachers so that they didn't have to do this process themselves. As a result, all rubrics from Year 1 to Year 12 were developed in Schoolbox, meaning that the teacher only had to find their approved rubric, download this as a CSV file, and then assign it to their due work item.
One of the things that I was really impressed with that you showed me the other day was the development of the language to be used within rubrics. Would you mind explaining how the process went for developing the language for your rubrics?
To ensure alignment and consistency with our language, the committee streamlined several reporting processes. So the college made the decision to remove grades per task, remove grades per capability, have our indicators be informed by achievement standards, We looked at creating parent overviews for our report cards rather than them having a list of grades that don't really have a context. We introduced the 5-point scale and removed the 15-point scale. This then allowed us to have a common language between Schoolbox and curriculum jargon, giving us the opportunity to align Schoolbox capability to ACARA's or QCAA strands and substrands. Our indicators were derived from the achievement standards, and our descriptors were developed from the standards elaborations A to E. So as you can see on the screen, Sheldon College now has consistency from Year 1 to Year 12 as to where all the elements of a rubric come from. What we also had to do was standardise our qualifiers, because the Australian curriculum has different qualifiers for different subjects, meaning if I was studying maths, I could be competent at a C level. If I was studying English, there may be the possibility that I was competent as a B level. So as a college, we looked at consolidating all these qualifiers and creating a bank of qualifiers so that when a teacher was writing their descriptors or the HOF was writing their descriptors, they would pick that from a standard bank, as you can see on the screen, so that our parents would always have consistency in that regard.
That's a really great insight, being able to standardize that language, because that obviously leads to your audience being considered, your parents and your students having a consistent language that they can develop and understand those rubrics. So I think that's a really important point that you make about the development of those rubrics. Is there any other resources that you created, perhaps training guides or anything else that you use to help people get up to speed with all of these changes?
For each of the new processes, we created dedicated iLink pages. The pages included a video, a PDF document, and we also printed the instruction material as well. So staff had access to multiple ways of accessing the training material.
So how did the teachers take on that change? Were they receptive? Did they find that useful? And how well did they uptake the process?
We had a lot of champions on the ground already, and teachers were already using the course builder. They were already using due work items. So the only change at this point was really encouraging teachers to mark a rubric and provide quality feedback. It really wasn't a significant jump for our teachers because of the work we had done previously in the implementation of Schoolbox. The HOFs did a lot of the heavy lifting in regards to preparing the rubrics for the academic staff. So all our teachers really had to do was to follow our training guides and complete the steps that was provided to them. We had hesitant users, whereby we provided targeted training to these users. We also spent time working one-on-one with our teachers where needed, and our HOFs would dedicate a lot of their time as well in upskilling their staff.
What did you think didn't work out as well as you would have hoped, and what sort of things would you have changed about the process?
As part of this process, I feel that we overlooked how well teachers provide quality feedback. And the directors of academics here at the college spent a significant amount of time developing a framework, which we've called our continuous feedback framework, which really looks at providing quality feedback. And we also wanted to work with our staff to make sure that we had a consistent approach when the feedback became visible to parents. So at the start of 2018, we had to shift our priorities in regards to this project and really unpack what quality feedback looks like. And as a result, we needed to develop style guides for our comments, modes of feedback, and align these to a research in regards to the arts and science of teaching, and Hattie's research in regards to what does quality feedback look like so that improvement can actually happen. That means that as a parent, when they view feedback across the college, there is a consistent approach as to what this looks like from a Year 1 room through to a Year 12 classroom.
Thanks for that. I think it's really important that we recognise that although rubrics on their own provide good quality feedback, there's lots of other modal ways of delivering that feedback, video, audio, written, markup. There's a whole range of different tools provided in Schoolbox. So making sure teachers are aware of the best practices in that space is really important. There is a lot of technology there that they can utilise to get the best quality feedback. So good on you for developing that framework to help teachers adapt to that modern feedback style. So can you explain to me how your reporting process has changed by making these changes to your assessment practice?
A motivating factor in this project was to buy back teacher time during reporting and marking periods of the term. So having a continuous or progressive approach changed our method of reporting, allowing our teachers to have rich conversations with students and their parents about their learning during the learning process rather than at the end of the learning journey. Our continuous feedback model now provides our teachers with data that they've never had access to previously. And having the data collected digitally allows us to push this data out to different systems required for moderating and for generating our mark books in readiness for the formal reports that go out 2 times per year.
That's great, Vanessa. So next up, what is next for you? I mean, this has been obviously it's been a 6 months project, or even probably longer than that. But what's coming up next for you, and what are you going to be working on as your next major goal?
I think as a college we are really excited by the new self-reflection and self-assessment capabilities that are part of the latest upgrade. So we are endeavouring to look at rolling that out with our students, because this will then add another dimension of feedback to this already rich project, giving the students the opportunity to self-reflect and having a parent be able to access where they think their student is in comparison to where the teacher has judged them.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time today. It's been incredibly insightful, and we love to hear about success that schools are achieving. Thank you again for sharing, and we look forward to see more amazing outcomes in the future from Sheldon College. It's been certainly insightful and amazing. So thank you very much, Vanessa and Murray. We'll look forward to speaking to you soon.